Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Kubert School Kids Class Online. This is the third week that we'll be doing the kids' classes, and we're really excited to have everybody watching today. As always, once you complete your drawing, please be sure to tag the Kubert School in it and post it, and we'll be sure to share it all over the internet. We thank you guys again for joining us today, and we have a wonderful artist, an alumni of the school, Mr. Sergio Cariello, who's worked for every company you could think of, and his book, The Action Bible, has sold over 1.5 million copies. So today we're all going to be drawing Spider-Man, and I think we're going to be having a lot of fun. So let me not hold anybody up and get Mr. Sergio in here. So here we go. Enjoy today, guys.
All right. Am I live? Well, good morning, everyone. This is Sergio. Anthony already introduced me. I'm going to be teaching you how to draw Spider-Man. So if you have any questions, I probably will not be able to answer them live, but I promise you I'll answer them after the session because I'm going to be focusing on the drawing and the methods, so we don't waste any time in this 1 hour session of how to draw Spider-Man. So let's have fun. I hope you grabbed some paper and pencils. So the tools for today that I'm using is white paper. It's a 2-ply board that I use for comic books. And you can use copy paper, any surface that you're comfortable drawing on. And I'm suggesting that you bring different kinds of pencils to the session. I'm using a blue pencil, but you can use a light pencil like Age or the regular pencil that you get in a store. And the reason for this is because we're going to go to construct the drawing with a lighter pencil, and then we finish and build on top, like building a house. We're going to go through the underdrawing, the structure, and the how-tos, setting up the drawing before applying a darker pencil to finish the drawing. So, number one, get your blue pencil or your light pencil and your copy paper, and your darker pencil like 6B or a pencil that you're going to be finishing over the lighter strokes. So the first step is getting the right tools. The second step, getting the right paper, whatever is comfortable for you to draw on. And step number 3, you have to know your subject. Today's Spider-Man. You've been hearing about Spider-Man, and I'm sure everybody knows who Spider-Man is. But let's say you don't know who Spider-Man is. What would you do? You'd have to see pictures of Spider-Man, grab the comic books of Spider-Man, see what other artists have done with Spider-Man to get yourself familiar with the subject. So you must get reference before drawing anything. You must draw reference. That's what we cartoonists do. Whenever the writer asks us to draw a boat, we're not just going to draw any boat. We draw the boat that the writer asked for, and Spider-Man has some specific looks to it, and we must look at reference. Even action figures, if you have Spider-Man statue, little statues, anything will help you to draw Spider-Man more accurately. Once you have your reference, you have your tools, get a grasp of the area that you're going to be utilizing. If you're using copy paper, probably 8.5 by 11. So an 8 by 10 image is your live area that you're going to be drawing. So you have to plan your action, your drawing to fit in, so you don't run out of space. If you start drawing, the head and you end up realizing that you don't have room to finish the arm or the legs. So you have to know the drawing area. So you plan your drawing. So with everything that we draw, anything that we draw, we must find the basic shapes of the subject: circles, squares, cylinders. So Spider-Man is a human being with proportions, and we must know the basic shapes of the elements that make Spider-Man. So Spider-Man also is not usually sitting still. He's moving. He's constantly moving, swinging, and we are going to use foreshortening, perspective in something that comes closer to you and something that goes further away from you to get that depth of motion in space. If you were to draw somebody standing, you would need to learn your perspective to know and place the character, the subject, within a specific setting where you have the elements of the perspective, the horizon line, and everything. Spider-Man being away from the ground and swinging changes the dynamics of the setting and the planing, but you still need to know the proportions. So um, let's go for the basic shape of the action utilizing the paper. So I'm going to go for, Spider-Man swinging. So the basic shape I want to keep within the 8 by 10 area here. Suppose, um, assuming that you got the copy paper or paper that around that size. So let's say that I want to do his head over here. The basic shape of the head would be like an egg shape. Um, and the reason why you need the blue pencil, because while you're planning, you're not concerned about being right. You're only concerned about planning. So the blue pencil, the light pencil, will give you room to play with the spacing. Right here, because I have a camera on top and the paper's over here, my head is behind the camera and I have to lean to the left to see what I'm working on. Um, so it's a challenge to me, even doing this thing for you. But the idea is that the head would be, that small in order for the body to fit in this area. So you have one thing you can do also, an 8 by 10 image. You can, divide your area into four uh, equal rectangles. That way you have a sense of the spacing within your image area in order to plan the pose better. So let's say I'm planning on having the head here, okay, and I'm planning the body to be slanted this way, with uh, his torso would be here, his hand going forward over here. So I'm using little circles just to know point A to point B sort of thing, just like a mapping of the drawing. I have to plan the image so everything fits. So, um, I'm this the head. This is the torso here, a basic shape, almost like a bean shape of the torso. The head is an oval. The hand, you start with a circle, and the points within the uh, the legs, the feet. So Spider-Man is constantly moving. So that makes it more challenging of drawing somebody standing. Um, if you captured Fernando's class and Maria's class, um, they went over the features of the head. Spider-Man, we're not going to draw his nose or his eyes or his mouth, but we need to understand, the center of the head. So if we start with the head, we have to know where you want the center of the head is and where you want the eyes to be in relation to the oval shape. So we have the center of the head, within that oval shape, and you have somewhat in the middle of that egg shape for the head, you have the eye line going down, because I'm having Spider-Man looking down where he's going next. He's moving from building A and is going towards building B over there, and he's looking down because he's swinging up and is going to go down. And how does he swing? He swings by shooting his web from his wrist, and I'm planning to having his hand over here, which is a basic shape. The relationship: how do I get here to here? How do I get from here to here? Well, the hand is connected to a forearm. The forearm here is going to be in perspective. If the head has an oval shape as a basic shape, the arms and the legs, basic shapes, are cylinders. And so, a good way to do, not only, I know that a lot of people use stick figures to do the connection. You can use stick figures to connect shoulder to elbow to hand. But the most important thing is to making that three-dimensional looking. Your forearm is going to be a cylinder shape. So imagine a cylinder, and the wrist is thinner than the area where the elbow will be. So you have you don't have a perfect straight cylinder, but you have a somewhat perspective cylinder, and it's not straight. It's a little bit curved. One thing about drawings, especially drawing Spider-Man, since it's moving means action. This is one pointer for you: as anything you draw, whenever you draw straight lines and parallel lines, your drawing will be still, calm. It will be, uh, some people would say, stiff, which is good for certain things and bad for other things. You want to action pose, you must add diagonal lines and curved lines to add the action. So you have the basic shape of the head, you have the basic shape of the torso, which is another cylinder here, and the basic shape of the forearm is another cylinder. The basic shape of the uh, arm is another cylinder. I hope you're able to see the relationship between the elements. And you have the section below the torso, the hip, and where you connect the legs. Um, it's a good thing to if you have action figures, or even if you buy this guy, for example, very useful tool to help you making poses. Um, and I use this guy and other statues and other figures. And another good practice for you to draw better and better is to use your family as models. Whenever they are going about a house, draw them on your sketchbook to understand how everything works. Draw your pets. Draw anything that you see around you. Try to get used to creating a basic shape for anything you draw. So you have the torso, you have this area here where you're going to connect the legs. The legs also have the basic shape of a cylinder. And like the forearm, the leg will be thicker as it connects to the body here, and it's going to go thinner when you reach the knee. Now, everything about this drawing is knowing where you want to go from point A to point B. So I know I want his feet to be over here. So you draw a line to indicate where you want the feet to go. This left foot. I want the foot to be here on this leg. So I connect uh, another basic shape of a cylinder over here that connects to this basic shape of his thigh. So you have the lower leg connecting to the foot. Now the foot has a basic shape um, like this, right? Just look at uh, your shoes, the bottom of your shoes, and you see the basic shape of your feet. You can also use your own feet for reference, your own hands for reference when you're drawing something. But the basic shape of the foot uh, is somewhat a bean shape as well, like this. And this connects to the lower leg and the thigh and the body here. Now, the other leg, remember, Spider-Man is constantly swinging. So I want to do um, I want to do this leg here coming forward. So just like action figures, when if you have them, you see the connection, uh, the holes where you connect the legs. You gotta draw your basic shape as if you were looking at a doll that has those slots to connect the elements. So you have the basic shape where the legs will connect, and you have a cylinder for the thigh over here. Now, because this thigh is coming forward, um, you have to take that into consideration of how your cylinder will look like, and things that come closer to you, they have a tendency to look bigger than things going away from you. You see? So this basic shape of this leg is not going to be the same as the other leg, depending on where things are facing, coming towards you or going away from you. Okay, so this foot, I'm going to have the foot much closer to us than the other foot. So this foot is going to be bigger than this one, just because of the perspective. So if I want to make this foot coming really close to us, it's going to be much bigger than this one, just by utilizing that perspective principle. And this foot connects to another cylinder here, which is the lower leg, and you start building your character this way. So let's go for um, the other arm. Um, since I'm planning here, this arm can be going away from us. So we have a cylinder in perspective going this way. And that's one way of doing it. Or I can also um, change the directions of things. If I want this arm to go away from us and this to go forward, let's try this. Only as I study and utilizing the methods that we are doing here. Let's see. Now, before I go there, let's try to finish this hand. Okay. Yeah, the hands are very dynamic. Spider-Man, he does this. I can even do it, but he does this. So you gotta use your hand to draw this hand. And the hands, they have a basic shape of the best way to learn how to draw hands. Uh, use the mitten gloves, those gloves that you use to grab something from the stove. But you have the basic shape of the palm here, and you have the basic shape of the fingers. Here is in perspective. So we have this section is over here, and the fingers are coming towards us. So you do stick shapes of how you want the fingers to be connected. I'm gonna have the thumb stretching out from the hand. So I want this thumb to go this way, the fingers coming this way, and these two fingers are folded to press his web from his wrist to shoot and do his next swing. So basic shape of the fingers will have the basic similar shapes. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers, and they all have 3 cylinders that are connected to each other. And the thumb will have 2 cylinders, and you have a bean shape that connects these 4, and you have another round shape that connects to the thumb, and you have another shape over here. So everything that you draw has a basic shape. Once you learn the basic shape of anything you want to draw, you're able to draw that in any direction, any pose. So when you fold, you're thinking in those cylinders being folded. So you have this finger as a 3-cylinder, and you have this finger as another 3 cylinders connected together. They have that bean shape over here. You have that shape over here, and you have that basic shape. It's a circle. See, right here, and the thumb is coming out from here, which is 2 cylinders. They have 1 and 2 cylinders, making the hand of Spider-Man. Now, the hand is connected to the forearm, and time is running really quickly. So let's add more weight to this basic shape. I hope you're doing fine with your drawing. Okay, Spider-Man on the torso. You also need to understand that this is in perspective, meaning this shoulder is closer to us and the other shoulder is away from us. So there is a perspective going on to make this torso 3D looking. So the center will be here, where you have the chest lines. Another thing to draw Spider-Man, you have to learn your anatomy. So the best way to learn anatomy is drawing from life. So use your family to draw arms and legs and torso and muscles. Use action figures to draw them as well. But we have the center line of the torso here. You have the waistline over here, and the best way for me to understand a drawing in perspective is I draw circles like this. So this is the forearm. I draw circles to understand the direction of the elements. So circles for the arm, circles for the torso, and circles for the head here. So the head is connected to the neck. The neck is not showing because his face is in perspective on the forefront here. But the neck is where you have the clavicle bone, and those clavicle bones are very important to understand when to start the shoulder. The shoulder has a basic shape that is round, and it connects right here. And this shoulder is going to be smaller because it's in perspective. Now, the rib cage is right below the chest basic shape, right here, and it also has a basic shape of a bean. And you have the ab muscles over here. Ab muscles over here. This is all in blue pencil, so we're gonna go in the next half hour. We're gonna make this drawing look more finished by having built the construction in lighter pencil. So here, where the belt would be of Spider-Man, all right. I am. I'm just doing different lines. So when I'm ready to finish, I will decide which line is best to finish the drawing. But it's very important to build your drawing from the ground up and understand how everything plays out. Uh, okay, Spider-Man has these huge eyes, and they all have a basic shape to it. How you guys doing? The mask of Spider-Man also have a web design to it, and a good way to make the web fall in the right place is make these circles, and the basic lines falling around the head. You have the spider right in the chest here, and the costume cuts through the chest and goes down this way, and it connects to this section, which would be the belt of the figure. Now, um, this is that trapezius muscle, which connects, and this is the bicep and the tricep. The tricep is the the back muscle of the arm. And they all have a basic shape to it. The rib cage, they are right in here, and you have the muscles that wrap around the ribs, and also the back muscle connected there. The knee over here is a basic shape, a round shape. Foot coming forward. Now, if I decide to move this arm this way, to have more action to this, I can end the stage. And I think it looks better. Remember, every time you have arcs and curves, you add more action to it. I have the shoulder here, connects to the chest, and you have the bicep over here, triceps in the back there. And let's make him with a fist, holding his web. Now, I can also move this arm closer over here if I decide that this is not how I want to finish. I can make this hand come even closer to me by going this way. And that's what I mean about not being afraid of changing stuff, because you're just building as you go. And I'm sorry if I mess you up if you drew too dark in there, but that's how I work. I move things around so I'm not locked in to anything on the planing stage. I'm just going at it, trying to make things work for me. If I decide to change the leg order, I can do that here too. I can make this leg being forward. Sorry. And I make this other leg going away, like I had it previously over here. Why? Because usually in action, if your right hand is forward, the best option for action is having the if your right hand is forward, then your left leg should be forward. And if your right hand is going away, then the other leg should be going away. Not having both limbs going in the same direction, but alternate the directions. It makes it for a better pose. So I'm going to go in this time we have left to go over a little darker. I'm grabbing a pencil here. Yeah, because I already planned this better. Now I can then make it darker, so my drawing is gonna have shape, and determine how I want the final lines to be. Mm. Remember the basic shape of the finger. You have 1 cylinder, 2 cylinders, 3 cylinders over here. The top part of the hand is where you have the knuckles, which is going to be edgy. The bottom part of the hand is softer, so it's rounder. So you have the edge of the knuckles on the top, and you have a softer, pouchy skin muscle underneath. And have the web, shooting out from here. I'm just trying to use the time we have left to finish as much as possible what we planned, even though I changed my mind on how to do things, because that's part of drawing. You start building, and you look at it, say, what if we try this now, and what if we try that instead of this? But the planning will determine, will help us determine the best solution for our drawing. So to use, a fist, draw your own hand. Use your own hand or your friend's hand as reference. The web on the costume follows the contour of the body. Now, in order to make things even more three-dimensional, you have to use lighting. Usually the light comes from above and it casts a shadow on the other part of right here. You see my hand is casting a shadow on the paper because the light is coming from the top. So over here, if you have a lighting coming from above Spider-Man, to make this arm more three-dimensional, I can add a black shape which is underneath his uh, bicep, as well as here. That causes this figure to be more 3D looking. See how it adds weight to it? A good way to draw freely with anything you draw is try to hold the pencil without being too tight, but even grab it like this, very casual. That helps you to keep um, the dynamics of your drawing. And again, this is just a pencil, so anything can be changed still before you use a magic marker to finish or India ink. But right now I'm adding shadow under the elements just to make them more believable. Okay, so I decided to have this leg coming forward. All right. I am not very happy with the legs here. Um, see, Okay, let's do the underdrawing here a little bit. Spider-Man swinging. How much time we have? 10 minutes. Yeah, if this was in the digital, um, all these underdrawings would be in different layers. So I'll just delete the layer. Everything will look cleaner. But since we don't have this, the digital method here, I'm just erasing just to see how it looks in a more uh, finished way. All right. So if you came this far, you could start um, cleaning this up either by light boxing this. I'm sure the Cuban school would have these kind of things. This is a light box. When you light box stuff, you're able to put the drawing on a separate piece of paper, and you can clean the drawing, which would be a different layer. So we have 10 minutes here. Let's see if I can outline the Spider-Man to this other piece of paper in 10 minutes. Let's see. So you have You can also use tracing paper to go over your drawing to clean the your drawing this way. The time really flies when you're having fun. Five minutes. So that's your Spider-Man. So now from this, I can um, start inking if we had time. We would just go over these lines once again in either a magic marker or a brush, or digitally. You can ink this with your computer if you just scan this image and you work on your uh, either a Cintiq or Procreate if you have those kind of tools. But uh, basically, we went over how to plan our image area, how to plan our basic structure, how to plan our uh, basic pose, make changes, change our minds in the light stage, blue pencil stage. And because we used the cylinder method and we learned how the basic shapes of the elements were built, we can change as we go along until we're happy with the drawing. I hope I was able to give you some tips on making a dynamic pose. Remember, every time you draw parallel lines, your drawing will be too calm, which is good depending on the need for having two people talking where there's no action needed. But if you want to add action to your drawing, you have to make slant, curve, and shapes that are not parallel to each other, but coming forward, going away from you. All that adds dynamics to your drawing. I hope you had a good time drawing Spider-Man with me. Hopefully, we'll have more sessions like this with the Kubert School. Don't forget to tune in next Saturday for Lee Weeks. And I think he's going to be drawing Superman. Um, and you're always able to watch the previous sessions with Maria and Wonder Woman and Fernando. I hope you had fun. Keep tuning in with the Kubert School. We plan to have great things for you. And be safe out there. Have fun drawing whatever you put your mind to it. Thank you again for watching. This was a live session with Sergio Cariello and the Joe Kubert School. Thanks, guys.